This video is about graphically portraying your business against the competition so that you can achieve two things. The first one is so that you can analyze how you might compete against your competitors. And the second thing is, if you're going after funding, be able to explain to potential investors, this is how I compare with my competitors. I think I can succeed. The most common way of graphically displaying your business versus the competition is in an XY axis. In the video on pitch decks, I used the example of Airbnb's pitch deck and how they got funding for their small business when they started up. If you look at Airbnb, here's a picture of it. What they were comparing themselves to was other companies on two dimensions. The first one was how affordable versus expensive, cost or price. And the other one was whether the competitors did offline or online transactions. So you can see Airbnb used two axes. One was expensive versus affordable price. The other one was online versus offline transactions. And that is whether people could do that online or whether they had to do it over the phone or in person or something like that. So they were able to show investors, this is how we compare and this is how we can compete. Yeah. That's the most common way, and that's why we put it in the video on pitch decks. The other way, which actually I prefer, is to use a set of sliding bars. And I'm going to use an example of my old company. We offered a program in Gettysburg, Pennsylvania, looking at leadership during the Civil War, and then how does that apply to current day leaders. And we did the same kind of axis, looking at only two dimensions, which are very common, and that is quality versus price. In this example, you can see that I have three competitors that I picked, and these are real examples, by the way. The first one is competitor T out of West Point, and they have a high-quality program at an equally high price. The next competitor is competitor B out of Massachusetts, and they have a pretty high-quality product at a fairly high-quality price, not just a little bit below competitor T. The third example is a local competitor, we'll label it L, that is in Gettysburg, Pennsylvania, and they have a less high quality program, more average, and their pricing reflects that. So then if you look at where my company at that time could compete, we thought we want to be at the high end where we can get higher margins and charge more, but we have to look at the competitive landscape a little deeper. And that's why I prefer the next way I'm going to show you how to do competitive analysis graphically. From low to high or from affordable to expensive. And you can choose whatever dimensions you want to on these sliding scales. For this example, I'm showing 4 dimensions of that same program in Gettysburg. The first one is the degree of customization, or how much a program is tailored to that specific client versus an off-the-rack kind of delivery. In other words, a tailored suit versus one from a department store. And you can see that in this example, the T and the B competitors both offer some customization, but not that much. The competitor L doesn't offer really much of anything except some follow-on phone calls, perhaps. The second dimension is subject matter experts. And in this case, that's one of the quality measurements. And all of us have to draw from licensed battlefield guides in Gettysburg. There's very little variability in the quality of these guys because they all are very highly qualified. They have to pass a series of written and in-person orals to become a licensed battlefield guide. So we're all very high. There's not much differentiation from one competitor to another. The third dimension I'm just showing you as an example, whether there is also a consulting service along with the program at Gettysburg. So if you look, the T and the B offer some I label consulting, and the L competitor doesn't offer that. The last one I mentioned is price. T and B are both relatively high priced, and L is more in the middle. So now you can see that just from this graphic representation, that there might be possibility for me to compete in 2 places. One, obviously, is offer consulting services. If I offered follow-on consulting, personalized services to either executives or to their teams, that could be a place where we could be very different from our competitors. The other place we could be different is in the degree of customization, the customer intimacy side of Tracy's disciplines. If I offer those two extra things, then I can also charge a higher price that have accompanying higher margins. And in fact, that's what we did. You can choose the dimensions that you want to compare, whatever dimensions you think in your business make a difference to your clients. I'm going to throw in one other graphic example, which I think is really good. And I learned this from my son. He opened a martial arts school, which is now one of the largest martial arts schools in Charlotte, North Carolina, where we're located. But to choose where to locate it, he did a graphic representation of the Charlotte metro area and where his competitors were located. So here's a rough map of Charlotte, North Carolina. There's a dot on every place that there is a martial arts school already located. Now, we know from industry statistics that people will travel up to about 5 miles to attend a yoga studio, a martial arts school, a fitness center. After that, it becomes inconvenient. After plotting each one of these competitors on the map, he drew a 5-mile radius circle around them. You can see from the map that there are some places where there's a lot of competition, but there's also some, quote, holes in the map where there's no competitors. And in fact, that's where he located his businesses in the Steel Creek area of Charlotte, North Carolina, where at the time there were no competitors. So he had an open field that made starting his business much easier. So the point I'm making is that not only does this help you portray to your investors, this is how and where we can compete against other people and how we can differentiate ourselves, but it also helps you see it in a very graphic way that this is where I am going to take advantage and differentiate my business from other people. If you're doing a competitive analysis, there's 2 videos that I would recommend you watch next. The first one I mentioned in this video, and that is the pitch deck video, which shows how startups present their idea to potential investors to get money. The other thing I mentioned was Michael Tracy's value disciplines. And here is a video on Michael Tracy's 3 value disciplines: customer intimacy, knowing your customer better than anyone else; product innovation, and that is being the leader in innovation; and the third one is the low-cost producer, or the operationally excellent company. You have to choose one or maybe 2 combinations of these value disciplines to determine how you're going to differentiate your company from other people. So take a look at these videos and ring that bell.
Wait, before you leave, you might like to check this other video right here.